What's up, YouTube? This is 2 Raw 4 TV. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with this top 15 shooting guards of all time list. And I don't normally read donations when I do these, but I do want to point something out here. Now, I want to give a shout out to the brother Earl for the donation via the PayPal. He left a note saying, top 15 shooting guards, great series. I'm looking forward to where you place Pistol Pete. We know he was ahead of his time, but how would his game translate in today's NBA? Now, I'll do a video about that. I got to think about it. I take these types of questions seriously. My answer is not a be-all, end-all, but I'll just give you my opinion. But I'll probably do that video maybe Tuesday or so. But I do want to point something out. Pete doesn't make my list of top 15. He used to be at my number 10 about 10 years ago. The reason why I probably have Pete like number 16, like right on the cutoff. And the reason why is as tremendous a player he was and as revolutionary a player as he was, right? He kind of falls into the template of Vince Carter and Tracy in that as great as he was, right, he never really reached his potential. He had great seasons, 76, 77, when he led the league in scoring. I think, some seasons, I think his rookie year, I think in Atlanta. He had a couple of other good years in Atlanta. But he was mired with injuries. Sometimes he had shooting woes. He was turnover prone. And his career, I believe he scored like 15,948 points. Which, compared to other players, it's a little bit underwhelming. And his collegiate career overshadows his pro career. So as a consequence of that, I didn't feel confident putting him ahead of other guys when I was penalizing those other players for the same things when they at least had longer careers. Plus, Pete, he never won a championship. That's not everything. But not only that, he only played in 26 postseason games. So that definitely hurts Pete Maravich, in my opinion, historically. So that's why I feel compelled to put him down. Not saying you got to do the same thing, but I had to put him down a little bit on the all-time list. One guy who I think does make the cut is Earl the Pearl Monroe. Earl the Pearl Monroe played from 1967 to 1980, and he played for two teams, that being the then Baltimore Bullets, of course now the Washington Wizards, and the New York Knicks. And for his career, he played in 926 games, and his career averages were 18.8 points, 3 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game. For his career, he shot 46.4% from 46.4% from the field, and he was an 80.7% career free throw shooter. And his best numbers, I would say his prime was from 1967 to maybe it's hard to say, I'd say 1977. And during that 10-year span, he averaged 20.3 points, 3.4 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.3 steals, 46% shooting from the floor, and 80% from the foul line. But he had to change and alter his game when he went to New York. So his scoring went down irregardless. He had to make some changes to his game, as opposed to when he was with the Bullets, when he was, a guy that focused more on scoring the basketball, and he had the ball in his hands a lot more. Whereas when he went to New York, the feeling was that it wasn't going to work because, this is a guy known for scoring and not necessarily for defense. Some people thought that he was a guy that was a player that needed the basketball, rather than, would this guy really fit in the New York system, the New York Knicks system, which at the time was a team-orientated system. But contrary to critics, despite some early growing pains, it actually worked. It actually worked, and he won a championship with the New York Knicks in 1973. Just to go over his resume right quick. Of course, he's an NBA champion, winning the title in 1973. He was a four-time NBA All-Star. He was on the All-NBA First Team, 1968-69, the 1967-68 Rookie of the Year. I believe it was during his rookie season when he scored his career high. I think it was his rookie year, 56 points. Of course, he was on the All-Rookie First Team, 67-68. He was on the 50th and 75th anniversary teams. His number 15 is retired by the New York Knicks, and his number 10 is retired by the Washington Wizards. He was NCAA College Division Champion in 1967, NCAA College Division Tournament MVP in 1967. As far as his cumulative totals, he scored 17,454 points, grabbed 2,796 rebounds, and dished out 3,594 assists. And, of course, as I've said before, actually I didn't say this, he is an NBA Hall of Famer, and he's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame as well. Monroe was 6'3" and 185 pounds. He was born in 1944 in Philadelphia, born in Philly. As a young person, a kid, he was initially more interested in soccer and baseball more than basketball. You gotta remember, man, in the 40s and 50s, the number one sport in the country was baseball, not basketball. Even in the black community, the number one sport at the time was, I would say, the top two sports in the 50s in the black community, probably baseball and maybe boxing, and then basketball or something in that order. By age 14, Monroe was already 6'3", and his interest in basketball grew, playing center during most of his youth. Some of his shake and bake style moves originated while playing on the asphalt playgrounds. And Monroe once said, I had to develop fluky Duke shots, what we call la-la, hesitating in the air as long as possible before shooting. As he was developing as a teenager, other players would razz him. His mother gave Earl a blue notebook and told him to write down the names of those players. As you get better than them, Monroe said his mother instructed, I want you to scratch those names out. After graduating from John Bothram High School, Monroe attended a college preparatory school affiliated with Temple University. He worked as a shipping clerk in a factory while frequently playing basketball at Leon Whitley's Recreational Center in Philly. And Whitley had played at Winston-Salem Teacher College on their 1953 championship team and encouraged Monroe to attend Winston-Salem to play for Coach Clarence Big House Gaines. It was there that Monroe rose to prominence at a national level at then Division II Winston-Salem State University, located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Under Coach Gaines, Monroe averaged 7 points his freshman year. But then during his sophomore year, that average grew to 23 points a game, 29 points and better as a junior, and a phenomenal 41.5 points his senior year. 1,329 points in that 66-67 season. During that 66-67 season, Jerry McLeese, a sports writer for the Winston-Salem Journal, called Monroe's points Earl's Pearls. Soon after, fans began to chant Earl the Super Pearl, and the nickname was born, Earl the Pearl Monroe. In 1967, Monroe earned NCAA College Division Player of the Year honors, leading the Rams to the 1967 NCAA College Division Championship with a 77-74 victory over Southeast Missouri State in the finals. Overall, in his 4 years at Winston-Salem, Monroe averaged 26.7 points with 2,395 points in 110 games. He remains the leading scorer in Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association basketball history. In 1967, the two-time All-American was drafted number 2 overall by the Baltimore Bullets in the first round of the 1967 draft, just behind Jimmy Walker. Who, I'm not mistaken, I think Jimmy Walker is, and I'm not talking about Dynamite Jimmy Walker, but I believe Jimmy Walker is the father of Jalen Rose. Jimmy Walker went to the Pistons. Monroe then won the NBA Rookie of the Year award in the season in which he averaged 24.3 points per game. And I was correct. He scored 56 points in the game against the Lakers, the third highest rookie total in NBA history. It was also a franchise record later broken by Gilbert Arenas on December 17, 2006. Monroe and his teammate, future Hall of Famer Wes Unseld, quickly became a formidable combination in Baltimore. And Monroe became a cult hero for his ability to run the fast break and for his circus-like shots. On February 6, 1970, he set an NBA record with 13 points in one overtime and a double overtime victory over the Detroit Pistons, another mark since surpassed by Gilbert Arenas. In 1968-69, Monroe averaged 25.8 points, 4.5 assists, and 3.9 rebounds as the Bullets finished 57-25 under Coach Gene Shue, capturing the Eastern Division title. That year, the Bullets, however, were swept by the Knicks 4-0 in the playoffs after receiving a bye. The next season, the Bullets finished 50-32, Monroe averaging 23.4 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 4.9 assists, but did not make the NBA All-Star team. The guards ahead of him selected Oscar Robertson, Walt Clyde Frazier, Tom Van Arsdale, Hal Greer, and Flynn Robinson. And the Bullets were again beaten by the Knicks 4-3 in the playoffs. The next year, the Bullets finished 42-40 under Coach Gene Shue and captured the Central Division title. Monroe averaged 21.4 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. In the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Bullets defeated the Sixers 4-3 and then defeated the Knicks 4-3, who at the time were the defending champions in the Eastern Conference Finals to reach the 1971 NBA Finals. Monroe averaged 23 points, 4 assists, and 3.4 rebounds in the Philly series. He then averaged 24.4 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 4.3 assists against the Knicks, including a 26.6 assist performance in the Game 7 victory. In the 1971 Finals, the Bullets were matched against that historic Milwaukee Bucks team that won 66 games with Kareem, Oscar Robertson, and Bobby Dandridge, all Hall of Famers. The Bucks swept the Bullets 4-0. Monroe averaged 16 points in the series. After the 1970-71 season, Monroe's agent, Larry Fleischer, informed the Bullets of Monroe's wishes to be traded to the Lakers, Chicago Bulls, or his hometown Sixers. After 4 games into the 71-72 season, he traveled to Indianapolis to discuss a transfer to the ABA and to their team, the Pacers. He had begun the campaign without having signed a contract due to a salary dispute with Bullets management. When his trade request turned into an ultimatum, he was suspended by the team on October 22nd, 1971. He eventually signed a contract immediately after being sent from the Bullets to the Knicks for Mike Riordan, Dave Stallworth, and an undisclosed amount of cash on November 11th, 1971. Now, one thing I remember about it was a lot of people didn't think that it was going to work, like I said before, because Monroe just had this reputation for being a self-centered guy, a scorer that needed the basketball in his hands to be effective, and his flashy style wouldn't mesh well with the Knicks system, and Monroe was not known for his defense. The Knicks were a great defensive team. Would he fit? And while he didn't come out gangbusters, and it didn't quite start off totally smooth, I think it took a little while, but Monroe got the hang of it, and he fit in very well. And in 1971-72, Monroe averaged 21.7 points in his 3 games with the Bullets before the trade, and he struggled to adjust after the trade, as I said, averaging 11.4 points and just 2.2 assists in 60 games with the Knicks. However, the Knicks defeated the Bullets 4-2, and the Boston Celtics 4-1 to reach the NBA Finals in 1972. Monroe did average nearly 16 points and 3 assists in the Bullets series against his former teammates. In the Celtics series, he averaged 13.6 points and nearly 4 assists. In the 1972 NBA Finals, the Knicks were defeated by the Lakers 4-1. Monroe averaged just 7 points in the series. But by 1972-73, things would be different. The Knicks were led by the backcourt of Frazier and Monroe. They were led by Hall of Fame coach Red Holtzman to the 1973 NBA championship, along with future Hall of Famers Bill Bradley, Jerry Lucas, Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere, and future Hall of Fame coach and six-man Phil Jackson, after a 57-25 regular season in which Monroe averaged 15.5 points and 3.8 assists. His role in the team was defined. The Knicks then defeated the Bullets 4-1 and the Celtics 4-3 to reach the 1973 NBA Finals. Wait a minute, I thought in 1972-73 they won 60 games. Maybe I have my years mixed up. They won a championship that year. And the Knicks will remain one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference all the way through the mid to late 1970s. And then they began to fall off as age began to catch up with that team. Monroe retired after the 1979-80 season due to serious knee injuries, which had plagued him throughout his career. In 9 seasons and 592 games with the Knicks, Monroe averaged 16.2 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. And Earl Monroe, one of the most dynamic basketball players in the history of the NBA. And he showed unselfishness when he went to the Knicks, because he could have been like a lot of players and said, you know what, I'm for myself. I don't want to alter my game. I want to be a guy putting up 25, 26, 27 points a night. But he wanted to win. And he sacrificed his numbers and played the right way, which was for the team. You got some guys that want other people to sacrifice around them while they still get all the glory. I'm not saying no names, but you know who I'm talking about. But anyway, Earl the Pearl Monroe is, to me, my number 10th greatest shooting guard in the history of the NBA. Just do a brief recap. I don't think I did a recap this video. Number 15, Tracy McGrady. Number 14, Vince Carter. Number 13, Klay Thompson. Number 12, Reggie Miller. Number 11, Ray Allen. And number 10, I have Earl the Pearl Monroe. Tell me what you guys think.